To speak a little more on women-led startup, we're joined by the convener and CEO of Global Tech Africa, Dr. Ian Lawal. Thank you very much, Dr. Lawal, for giving us your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Statistics have shown that women's participation in the economy drives everything better: global business, resilient values, economic growth, and sustainable development. Have you seen this at play in Africa and, most importantly, in Nigeria?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a saying that goes that when you empower a woman, you empower the community or you empower the nation. And that's what we're seeing play out, here in Nigeria. According to PricewaterhouseCoopers report in 2020 on MSME, it's estimated that 41% of micro businesses in Nigeria are owned by women. And that is placing Nigeria among the highest when it comes to entrepreneurship rates. And you can imagine what comes from there. These entrepreneurs are hiring, meaning they're providing work opportunities. At the same time, a high percentage of them are managing homes. So you can see the experience that they bring on board in that way to be able to, network, run their businesses, and at the same time manage their homes. So you can imagine a woman doing that, what they can do when you give them more opportunities. And most importantly, they give back to their community. Right. We run a program with the US government called the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, and we've been running it since 2019. We've trained over 720 women since 2019. And I can tell you for a fact that 96% of all the women we've trained have given back to their community. This is on track. We can track the progress of how they give back, and we're seeing that, in essence, this is effective. So empowering women and investing in women is really good for the economy. It's smart economics.
Yeah, progress is definitely being made. But from what we heard from the report by my colleague Bettina, there are challenges, and prominent among them is access to funding. Where are we in bridging that gap? Have we grown, or are there still a huge lacuna to be addressed?
So there are obvious problems like access to funding, access to network, or access to mentors. But the most important of them all is implicit bias. And I think as long as we have implicit bias, we're going to continue having this problem. So I think as much as we look at the funding part or the challenge when it comes to funding, we should also look at the bias that comes from the society. When you see a woman and the woman comes in, or a man comes in for, a pitch for funding, for example, people tend to go towards the man. You believe the man more because you think, oh, the man is capable and, whatnot. But as long as that continues to happen, yes, there are more initiatives that are funding women, but as long as that continues to happen, we're going to continue to have issues. So implicit bias, I think, is the number one thing we should look at. And I think the best way to start addressing that is to start looking at the numbers. How many women have been giving funding? What are they doing with it? And they're entirely successful. So a lot of the women who have been invested in are not just giving return in investment, they're also investing in other women. So some of these reports need to be out there. We need to have a focus on them, and we need to make people realize that it is smart economics to invest in women. And talking about whether it is improving, yes, it's improving. More women are now funding other women. I think that's another way of bridging this gap, to encourage more women to fund other women. Also to encourage mentorship. So a lot of women who've been able to go through the barriers should also teach others on how they were able to scale through it. So those are the things that we can do so far to bridge the gap. And we have programs as well. For GTA, the conference that's coming up in November, we're running a program with the US government that's focused on training 50 women who are our future unicorns, in that sense. So
I like that word, future unicorns. Apart from funding and networking, are there any other roadblocks that you think deserves a place in the table, on the table rather, so it can be addressed?
Yes, so I would say imposter syndrome as well. You find that when women are pitching as opposed to men pitching, they don't put their worth out there. So I would say also getting women to work on themselves and understanding that they should ask for more because, you know, they're worth all that is also good. So in that barrier, I would say within having self-confidence when you go into a pitching room and knowing that you're worth the funding that you're asking for would be good. But yes, implicit bias, something we need to look at totally, but at the same time, we need to work on ourselves as women when it comes to pitching.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lawal. We heard it, self-confidence and knowing your worth. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.